Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions at gmail.com. But again, this is Freeform Radio. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Daniel. Got with us Noel.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. We're here. The whole gang made it back, so it's good to see everybody's back.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're back together doing this podcast. Got some interesting stuff to talk about. And the first one is this Trump indictment. Now, Andy, let me know because I got to admit, man, I've been on social media kind of quiet and I haven't really been on too much. So I don't know what the heck is going on. So fill us in on what you know, man.
Man, I don't know neither, but I think the recent one, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the mugshot where he actually got arrested.
Right.
So they're saying that he let me see here. He tried to set up. This is the one for Atlanta. So there's a lot of them going on. The one for Atlanta, that's it's like a local thing, and they're trying to figure out if no, they're trying to set him up to I feel to not get him to run, but I think they're trying to make him look bad, like he didn't like he was trying to overturn the election where he lost to Biden. Let me see here. They arrested him and a bunch of other people, 18 co-defendants, and they're saying it's Georgia's 2020 election subversion case. That's what it is. And it's basically state charges, not federal. It says this is an historic 41-count indictment handed up on Monday. So the people they arrested are pretty important people. Ex-Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani. They gave the defendants, they had to turn in. They calling it, dude. They're telling like some mob shit here. Like they're calling it a criminal enterprise, and I think they're trying to use like RICO statutes to try to set them up. For a criminal enterprise aimed at overturning the 2020 election. The state's racketeer influence and corrupting organization at RICO. That's the big one, where basically Trump is telling people what to do. It's like some mob shit. It says constituted an ongoing organization whose members and associates function as continuing a unit for common purpose of achieving objectives of the enterprise. It's like some legalese shit, but it's just amazing what they're doing to him. And the other one I read today, they're gonna try to the next one, since he's like he got this one, then he got the one in New York. They're trying to, every time they do, to me they just make some like, damn, they really don't want this fucking guy to run. So, and then the next hurdle I was reading that they're gonna, because he's under indictment and he's going to court, that some states said they're not even gonna put his name on the ballot. So that's like a whole nother other fucking hurdle. I don't know, man. It's just like this guy can't catch a break. Well, not a break, but they're really going after him hard. I think after this, who knows what they got, Biden got up his sleeve. Because I mean, that famous quote, Biden said he's going to do everything in his power to make sure he doesn't run or become president again. It's pretty messed up.
I think it's like you said, it's a tactic to kind of put some of the stuff that he's being alleged of in the news and out front so that people could be a little more aware when they vote. Now, it's funny because I lean more towards a Republican, but I'm not really a big Trump fan. But I've talked to some Trump supporters, and they see this as a disgrace that the judicial system is taking it out on such a great president and blah blah blah. And then when I talk to some of my Democrat family members, they're just like, this is an embarrassment because it's like the first time a president's been taken up on charges and blah blah blah. And so it's really polarizing for both sides here. I don't disagree with if he did something wrong for him to be brought up on the charges. Now, is this coincidental that the nominations are starting to go through? You're starting to see debates and meet the press kind of stuff where different candidates are debating. Probably, but I think it's good for stuff like this to be brought to the front. Let's give it enough time for it to go through the motions, and hopefully, come nomination time, people are well aware of all the wrongdoing or good doing or allegations, and then they can make a judgment call on who they want to put up as their nominee.
Yeah, the other one is with the classified information at his house. That was another one. He gets some charges on that one, and he gets the charges in New York. Another indictment, I guess, in New York. And yeah, man, this is. We all know he's not perfect, but damn, man, like this is pretty fucked up. It's almost like some third world like political shit, dude. Like that's all that's left. They arrest him and they just throw him in jail. And just like say like, yeah, it's messed up.
Well, I mean, if it's
I don't
true,
even know.
then they should put him in jail. So if the stuff is true, then they should prosecute him and he should be found
Yeah.
liable for the stuff that he did. But in the same token, so should Democrat presidents or nominations, because like those documents, man, ever since Trump got nailed with that, it came out that Biden, while he was vice president, they found a bunch of stuff. While he's president, his son, Hillary, same thing. So it sounds like almost every president has a really shitty system where they just don't give a shit where these papers are at. So I think it's more of a common issue with a bunch of the presidents, which isn't a good thing at all. So does Trump get put as the let's make an example out of him? No, I think everybody should be found liable for, breach of security. There's a lot of, secret stuff of the government that you don't want coming out, and you're kind of just putting it on your dining room table for anybody to grab.
No, absolutely. Like I said, but that's the problem. Everybody does it, and they're like hammering him. They're trying to make an example out of him because they don't want him to run because he knows he'll be the nomination. And I'm just the only thing. Let's say he wins. Like I wonder if he's just gonna pardon himself, and then they're gonna be all hell breaking loose after that. And then like Biden with what's going on with his son, with the laptop from hell and all that, and there's like all this stuff, and they're doing their own investigation on that, and I don't know, man. I don't have much faith in the government anymore when it comes to stuff like this because a lot of this stuff never been so much in your face, like they've never been so open about all this stuff. It is it's shocking to see what the hell is going on, and like I just feel like Trump, they're picking on him. I mean, because he's not in that good old
With
boys
everything
thing.
that's going on with all different areas, with the education system and how they're pushing for a certain agenda, all the genders and all this transitional stuff and LGBT stuff in people's faces, trying to normalize adult stuff with kids, like it's things are getting perverse, man. This world, this country in general, is getting to a point where like people just seem to be leaning towards this like evil route that the government is trying to make seem normal, and the politicians getting away with the stuff they're getting away with, the injustices that's going on in the cities, and all the just the different laws they're trying to pass to like limit our freedoms, take away what we have. It's just crazy, man. And it's no surprise to me what they're doing to Trump because there's definitely, it seems like there's an agenda right now, and there's all these distractions right now to keep us from really asking a lot of questions. But just put it all together, man. Like the education system I just mentioned, and what they're trying to do to our kids and indoctrinate them, the media, Hollywood, putting Satan in the forefront and just trying to make that normal. People doing concerts, like worshiping Baphomet openly, dressing up in like satanic garb, doing these weird like ritualistic dances. Like they're trying to make this shit normal, man. It's like anybody could see that there's something going on. We're pawns in this game that's going on, and it's been going on for a long time.
Well, to me about the satanic stuff, if you do believe in freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all that, then technically you should leave them to practice their religion as long as it's not harming anybody. If they're doing sacrifices and stuff like that, then that's another thing. But if they're just worshiping the devil, then that's on them. Now, I don't agree with that. That is totally against my religion. I don't believe in that. But as far as the United States and governmental right, you have the right to believe and do what you want as long as you're not harming other people. So it's kind of difficult to, you know, be against something when at the same time you want to try to respect that other people are different. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned the devil worshiper. It just happened out here, like some suburb in Chicago, where they fired like the music teacher because they ended up finding out that the music teacher was a devil worshiper and had all this like devil worshiper stuff on Facebook, like videos and other stuff. And the parents found out, and then they right away went to the district, and they're just like, "Hey, you got to fire this guy. This guy's playing music and he's teaching our kids, and he's a devil worshiper." So they fired the guy, and I was kind of, mixed. I was just like, yeah, I wouldn't want that for my son to be there and possibly his beliefs influence what he's teaching. But at the same time, I do want to preserve his right to express himself and be the person that he is, regardless if I believe in it or not.
I mean, I guess it all depends because when we think of like Satanists, what are we talking about here? Because is it do we don't know much about it, I guess. So is it evil to be a Satanist? Is that on par with like the other evils like murder, rape, pedophilia? Like, is it on par with all that? Because if that's the case, then we don't allow that to have a space in society, in the public eye. You know what I mean? So
I
that's why it's like a gray area because we don't know how to define it, I guess, right?
Well, I guess to me, rape and killing and stuff like that, those are actions. So those actions definitely should be judged based on those actions. But to worship something, that's just a person's personal beliefs, and they necessarily don't have to coincide with an action. I just came from church, and to me, we sing, we pray, we have a gospel, and we talk about it. So if that's what they're doing with, obviously I'm presuming Satan, and that's all they're doing, then all right, go do that. I don't believe in that, but go do you. As long as it doesn't go into something outside. Like if you said, if they're going out and be like, our religion tells us that we have to go rape people, our religion tells us that we have to go kill people, then that's when I have a problem.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird, complicated topic for sure, man. It's hard.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of gray areas and a lot of places where, uh, you know, you hate to be judgy and preachy to other people. You want to give them their liberties and their rights. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we would go by in the future respecting that, but at the same time, kind of creating this limit, like where it's okay that you do it up to here, but you know, don't go too far. Don't take it to the next extreme.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see just how things develop with Trump, man. But I don't know. With all like I said, all this stuff that's going on, it's not surprising to me that it's happening. It's just so much weird shit going on, and it's crazy.
Yeah, going back to what you said, then like the moderate, the gray area, that's the problem. You allow the gray area and it leads into some form of extremism, and then there's only so much where people are willing to tolerate, and that's why you get to all this craziness and yeah, I mean it is what it is, and going back to the Satan stuff, like you said, Noel, uh it's kind of rough to me. It's I mean, we're person of faith or Christian. I mean, it is bad. It's evil, so you shouldn't really tolerate it. But like, I get it. We're in America, and you got to be somewhat tolerant of it. And but when it starts getting into public spaces, especially like schools and government buildings and stuff, it gets a little crazy. But let's go on to Noel here. We're talking about all this devil stuff, and Halloween falls just around the corner. Tell us what happened, man. You went to, if I remember, a haunted place, and how was that experience? Did you get freaked out?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I got freaked out, but we did have a legit experience, and it was, man, it was an eye opener for sure. I do believe that there for sure is something after this life. I can't say what that is. I'm not sure what exactly that is, but it seems like there is some form of consciousness, or residual energy, after this life. So yeah, let me kind of give a little backstory to how this all went about. So maybe about a month, 2 months ago, my cousin asked me if I would be willing to go with him and a couple friends to do this ghost investigation in Peoria. And immediately I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Like that was a bucket list item of mine, is to do a ghost investigation. I grew up watching all these shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, etc. There's so many shows out there now, and YouTube streamers, and every now and again I'll catch a YouTube streamer showing like an investigation. And I've seen enough videos to know that a lot of that stuff gets faked for views, and every now and again you get some unexplainable real stuff. Now with all those fake ones out there, it kind of makes it like, the waters are muddy, and it's kind of like hard to know which one is really real. So I always said to myself, I'm like, the only way to know for sure is to go through it, to have your own experience. So that's why I've always been on the it's been on the bucket list for a long time. Like, look, I got to do this. So when he brought it up, I'm like, let's definitely go. And we were gonna mix it in with like this whole trip. It was just gonna be a weekend thing. We went out there. I woke up Saturday morning and took about 3 hour drive over there. We got there. I think it was like almost 1 in the afternoon, and this investigation wasn't going to start until like later on that night. And we get like this tour, a backstory as to like the location and the history of it, and then which is like maybe 35 minutes to an hour. And then after that, we have 6 hours of uninterrupted ghost investigation time. So to kind of kill some time before then, we went to go disc golfing, which was really cool spot. I think it's called McNaughton Park. Um, Really cool area, a lot of wooded area, and then it's just in Bufu land, man. It's not like super maintained, but there is like some, you could see like the lawn and
Hmm.
stuff, and the grass was kind of maintained on some level, but there was also a lot of hilly areas, and it's just like there's a creek, there's water, there's a pond. It's really cool, man. If you ever get the chance to go out there and do some disc golf, if you're into that,
Was it
recommend it.
just your group, or was it some of the other haunted house people there with you guys?
No, that was just so it was me, my cousin, and only one of the two friends went. Um one of them
The other one
chickened
got
out.
spooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's because we kept telling, well, not we, my cousin. he loves to joke around, so he kept telling his friend, he's like, "You're gonna get possessed, man. You're gonna come back with the demon." And so he just like he got really like spooked, and he's like, "Nah, man, never mind. I don't wanna bring anything back with me." And we were just joking with him, obviously, but he's always been like the more skittish of the group, and so yeah, he decided not to go this time. I think he will go next time. But anyway, so yeah, it was just the three of us, me, my cousin, and one of our friends. Um, anyway, after the disc golf, we got our equipment situated. We had our home base at the hotel, and so we got our equipment situated, all the batteries packed, flashlights ready, chest and stuff. Then we headed out to the location. It was probably almost 7 o'clock by the time we went over there. Got a little tour, and this place it's built in 1902. It was a huge town, like that's like it was centered around this psychiatric hospital that was for not only people that are mentally ill but also people that are poor and destitute, just people that have nowhere else to go. It was kind of a shelter of sorts. So some of the people there were like just normal people in a tough situation, maybe because in that time there wasn't like a place for rehab, there wasn't a place for all these people that were just going through a tough time, the homeless and all that. So a lot of those people were also sick because of their living conditions, because they were poor. So
Yeah,
they were
I
sent to
remember. Yeah, I remember seeing some documentaries that even like people who had like Down syndrome and stuff like that, they would put
yep.
them in some of these psych wards.
Yep. Anybody on the autism spectrum would be put in
Right.
one of those kind of places. You just all sorts of people going through a struggle, and so there was like a lot of sadness there. And when we went there with respect because we didn't want to go there and going into someone's home essentially and disrespect it. So after we got the little tour, we got the all the backstory, all the history. We were told, a couple of keywords or key names and people that were like prominent there. Then they gave us like just kind of the run of the land. We got access to two buildings that are like two of six total buildings, I believe. The main one was actually torn down a couple years back. It was shut down in 73, but they kind of held like ownership of this land for many decades until they unfortunately they had to tear down that one. And the two buildings they had left in their ownership they allowed us access to. And there's four cemetery plots with over I think like 20,000 graves or something like that, or
Wow.
10,000 graves. Yeah, it's a lot for sure.
So in these two spots that they give you, is it just you guys use three, or is it like bigger groups because it's a whole tour thing?
It's just us three, man. That's what was awesome about it. We reserved,
Wow.
so it was like we had the run of the place essentially. They kind of just showed us so we could be safe. Like they showed us the route, how to get there, get back, and like what to watch out for. Because this is like it's
I'm
not really
assuming like a
maintained.
condemned building, yeah, where there's like
Yeah.
shit falling apart.
Now we did ask him ahead of time, like, "Hey, this is clean of asbestos." He's like, "Yep, 100% clean. There's nothing in there that's gonna harm you. It's just dusty and all that, but it's not anything. The asbestos was taken out decades ago, and it's safe to be in."
Did you guys
Um,
take masks anyways, or?
no, I forgot my mask, unfortunately, but honestly, it was for the best, dude. One thing I didn't mention is this was on a day that was like 80 degrees and
Yeah.
at night it dropped down to 70 something. But during the afternoon when we went there at like 7 p.m. for the tour, the sun was still out and it was so we could see obviously because we don't want to go in the dark yet. um it was about 80 degrees, man. We were drenched in sweat, bro. You have
Wow.
no idea how much we were sweating because this was meant to hold in heat. Like in the winters would be brutal and they didn't have like central systems, so it's in 1902. So the place is like expertly designed to hold heat, and it held that fucking heat, bro. You went in there and it felt like a sauna, man. As soon as you got in there you felt that, and then you would be so grateful to be outside with the wind. So we did spend a considerable amount of time indoors, but we were like that definitely want to hit up every area. So let me kind of just get to the key moments where we got activity. I don't want to, because it is obviously a lot. We were there for 6 hours. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but the key moments. When we first got there, it was like maybe within the first 20 minutes, we went to this building that was the patients' quarters. So it's where the patients, were housed, where they lived, and just spent their day to day, time there. There's one of these chairs that have like the foot paddles, and then it has like a spot for where like an armrest with a spot that locks your wrists, for like the insane people that are like dangerous. They'll lock them up kind of on this one of these chairs. So my cousin Ismail, he sat down in this chair, and he had an EMF detector in his hand as he's sitting in it, and he's asking questions, and we're in the pitch black darkness. We have flashlights, but that's about it. And he asked a couple of questions, if anyone's here, if anyone wants to communicate. And we also have this app on the cell phone that supposedly, I don't know the scientific ins and outs of it, but supposedly it taps into this frequency that allows spirits to talk through it.
Yeah,
And
like a chat box or something.
yeah, and they'll say words like it's got like a word bank that it could get from, right? So it does communicate in a way, and it says a few words that like, I know you, and we're like, oh, how do you know us? And then it starts saying like its name, and the next thing you know, the EMF detector spikes, and it gives off a red signal, which is the highest it can go. It's like EMF 5, it's called. And my cousin, immediately as it does that, he feels like a static energy around his whole body, and it was at the exact moment that the EMF went to 5. So that kind of solidified, like, all right, there's something going on here. All these things that happen at one time is more than a coincidence, considering there was like 20 minutes of nothing, absolutely nothing, and then this happened. So
Now, is there any way that this tour group could be doing some shenanigans to kind of like promote the place and create like
so
the whatever the episodes you're experiencing?
so I believe no. There was only 3 or 4 of them. Um, 2 of them left, and then the third one left later on, and so it was essentially only one guy that was in a trailer with a radio in case we needed help or whatever. But it was essentially just that one guy. So
Okay.
no, there was no way. And we had radios that we can communicate with him, and we would hear if he was like close by. There was like the doors were open, so there was like a draft coming in, stuff like that. So, but that static couldn't have been done by anybody. That
Okay.
EMF couldn't have been done by anybody. And the spirit box thing, the little name that popped up and all that, the words that popped up, all that is just too much of a coincidence. So that's what key number one. That's like evidence number one. Evidence number two happened in that same building, but in a different room. So when we started getting this activity, we, kind of wandered around. We split up a little bit, and we're like with our flashlights, just trying to look around and just see if we can get any more EMF spikes to get it to go EMF 5. It did not. That was the only EMF event the whole night. But what did happen? We have this REM pod. I don't know if you're familiar with what a REM pod is, but if not, it is this device that has kind of like an antenna. And if you make physical contact with this metal antenna, the REM pod, the actual device itself, will either beep, and it could possibly light up like with an actual light that either flickers based on temperature fluctuations, or will just light up in a solid red light with a beep.
So
So think
the antenna completes a circuit and tells you that it's touching something or there's something of matter there to make it light up or do whatever it's doing.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So obviously we put it in an area that's not anywhere near anything, We don't want anything to come in contact with it unless it's, you know, a spirit, right? So we set it up in the middle of this room, and all of a sudden, when we ask a question, it starts giving out words that's to say like we're mocking it, like it feels like we're offending it in some way because the words it was saying, I can't remember verbatim, so I apologize, but it's essentially saying like you're mocking us, uh, you know, turn the camera off, get out, get away, you're in danger. And it said all these things. So I remember these keywords. There was more, but these are the essential ones that I remember. And we're like, holy shit, like this is like pretty intense. We're getting a lot of activity on this app. By the way, the app, we had the Wi-Fi turned off, airplane mode on, so the internet can't be affecting it. So it's just whatever. I don't know how it works in and out of it, but it's just popping up whatever is being said by the spirit, supposedly. As we ask it, it's like, "Do you want us to leave?" It said, "Get out," and then the REM pod went off essentially at the same time. So we're like, "Okay, we're gonna get out," and we just left. So that was enough proof for us, right? So we left. Because by the way, guys, this is like already 50 minutes, almost an hour into the investigation, and those are the only two events, like or two or three events that happened. So it's more than a coincidence. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You know, if there was a lot of shit going on, I'd be like, all right, that's kind of weird. Like, either this place is super freaking haunted or like something's going on. But no, there it was just a lot of quiet time, and then bam, it happens. Anyway, we check out the cemeteries. Unfortunately, we didn't get too much activity in the cemeteries. We did get a couple words, and it looked like we were talking to like a nurse that used to work there that passed away from a disease, like maybe tuberculosis, I think, is what killed a lot of people there. And it was saying these words that like were making us think in that direction. And we could have sworn we heard someone screaming outside, but because we're not completely isolated from like a town, because we are in like the middle of this huge town that's obviously it's more of like an industrial area now. It's not the way it was, but we are around like some people, you know, but they're not like within like the they're not within like 100 yards. They're pretty far away, right? So for us to hear this scream, especially through a forested area, it was just kind of weird, and the timing was all weird. So anyway, that was the only experience we really had in the cemeteries. And just to kind of wrap it up, this is the last really big piece of it of evidence that we have, and I did get this on recording. All this stuff that I'm telling you, I got on recording. So if you later on, I could show you guys the videos and all that, so you could see. The last thing that happened was probably the most impactful. We went to this building that was um, converted to a museum, and it has the most amount of items from the original hospital in that building. So if there's attachments to items, this place is going to have more than likely an item with those kinds of attachments. So the museum is really cool. It's got a bar and all that, and this is where we got the introduction, the tour, and we got to see a video about the hospital and all that, and the people that started it, and the doctor I think Zeller that started this. So it's a cool location, but where this is where we wanted to finish the night.
So in the tour, were there other people there, or was it the whole thing was just for you guys
So the whole thing was for us. The only people that were there were the people that run the
that
tour.
run the place? Okay, cool.
And it was one lady that was doing the presentation. There was one guy that gave us the actual grand tour, and then there was one other guy and one other girl. Now the only one that stayed around was this guy. His name is Weapons. He doesn't have an actual. They said he doesn't have an actual legal name that he wants to go by, so we call him Weapons. And
Oh,
we're
okay.
just like,
So he's like
all right.
Cher or something. It's just one name.
I guess he's a cool guy though. He's a cool guy. But he was the only one that was left, and he was in the trailer just in case we needed some help or whatever. And he was available by radio, so we all got a radio in anyway.
So you
So
said in the museum there was some activity as well.
yeah, so back to that. we set up this REM pod on this table, so it was away from anything else. Nothing else could touch it except, if we went and touched it or if a spirit touched it. And then we kind of sat far away. We had our EMF detectors out, we had our voice recorders out, and we had the app thing out. Then they started saying these words that were kind of going back from where it started. It's like, I know you. And we're like, well, how do you know us? And then it said, we're family. And we're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, are you family with one of us? Are you meaning that like we're all a family under God? Or, we're asking questions and trying to get a response. And it starts giving us names and stuff. Um, a few of the names matched to names we heard in the first house. So that's what was like really bizarre. It was like sticking to these names. I can't remember. I think it was Joanna or something. I can't remember the exact name. One of them was Reginald. The other one I can't remember. But anyway, where it got really heightened, the actual most heightened part was towards the end. We heard the piano play, not like a full song, but like a couple notes, like somebody touched the piano. And as this Mel was saying, can you show yourself? And he's taking pictures. I saw an orb by him, and the app said orb, and he took a picture, and it took a picture of an orb. Uh, like it was, he looked at it right in front of him
Damn.
as he took it, and it was an orb. So I saw it, the app said it, he took a picture, and it came out. That was crazy for us. Then the REM pod started going off, and we're like, holy fuck. And then we get like nearby, and like, we're trying to like EMF detect, and trying to see if there's temperature fluctuations. And then our friend Adam, he starts asking questions, and it says again, I know you, we're family. And he's like, well, what's your name? And it says Ronald. And he freezes. He's like, holy shit. So a little bit of a backstory on Adam. So my cousin is Mel and Adam. They are both friends from middle school, and they both lost their fathers at a young age, at around 13 years old. And so Adam, when he heard that name, he froze. And we're like, "What's wrong, dude?" He's like, "I can't believe it." He's like, "What?" Ronald, that's my dad's name. And we're like, no way, dude. Like, what are the odds that it's gonna say that name? We're family. I know you, and say Ronald, and the REM pod's going off, and we're not touching it. All that happening at that time, like, that's more than a coincidence, dude.
So did you guys pursue that? Did you guys say, "Oh, well, if you're my dad, you know, tell me my birthday or when's my birthday or nothing like that"? You guys didn't pursue it more?
I asked him because he was silent, bro. He's frozen. He was like, "Holy fuck," kind of moment, right? And so me and his mom are like being respectful. We're not really saying much. We're just being quiet, and we're like, he's like, man, what should I do? I said, ask a question, man. He's like, what should I ask? Whatever you want, dude. Like, I didn't know what to tell him. I was like, holy fuck, like this is like real, like this isn't like a fucking episode of some show. Like this is real life, and I'm going through it, and I'm like, wow, dude, like this is. I don't know. I can't explain it, bro. I can't explain it, but so he did ask a couple questions, and it kept saying, "I know you were family," and then it said Bernice, and he was like, "Holy shit!" That was like another key word. His father, I guess, either his uncle or his aunt is Bernice. His aunt is Bernice, and was married to his uncle, his dad's brother, I think. And
Right.
so it was just weird. Bernice had also passed away, so it was just weird, man. It was just more than a coincidence. And so, just to kind of wrap it up, man, I've been going on about this for a bit. I would do it again. I do plan on going out there another time, maybe not for a couple years, but we're gonna go to another place. It's in Kansas now. That's our next stop. Uh, so maybe we'll do more of a live stream if I can. I didn't get my camera set up in time that day. I should have taken an SD card. I didn't. I was my mistake. So I wasn't able to record the whole thing. I only recorded a few key moments, and I'll be able to show that to you guys. I did record that moment with the Ronald situation, so you'll see that too.
Nice, nice. Now it sounds like you're still excited. So the day after, a week after, whatever, how are you feeling about the experience? I mean, obviously it says that you want to try it again, so you didn't get spooked like this fourth member.
No, dude, honestly, the whole time through, everything that happened, I wasn't scared one bit. I did feel sad. There was a moment where I felt like emotion out of nowhere. And it was like this just like kind of hard to put my like a finger on it, but it was just like a feeling of like just
Like overwhelming,
hopelessness.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
hopelessness, like because they were now that I'm remembering more as we're talking about this, some of the other words that came up was we're trapped, it's a prison, help us, all these kind of things to make it seem like they don't want to be there, they want to get out but they can't and they don't know how. And so it was like really just sad, you know, just like if this is proving to me, which it did, that there is a life after this and they feel like it's a prison, man, like it just, I don't know, sad.
Yeah. Oh man. I I don't think I would be able to do something like that. But no, man, kudos to you, man. Hopefully the experience went well for you.
Definitely, man. I do recommend it. That's a cool place, and they could use the assistance. So if people want to do investigations, the Peoria State Mental Asylum, I think it's in East Peoria, I believe. That's a place to go to, man.
Sweet.
But yeah, moving on to you, man. So it looks like, yeah, you beat Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, yeah. I finally beat that game. I clocked in 126 hours onto the game.
Oh man.
But yeah, I finished it. I got a platinum on it, 100% the whole game. So I finished everything on it. So I was really excited to get 100% and get all the trophies on it. It was a really superb game. It was really well done. Graphics, frame rate, the story was very intriguing, very cool. Even played the DLC that came out for it. It expanded it and gave you a few more enemies, a few more weapons, and gave you some more stuff to do with this expanded map. So very cool, man. I played the first one, Zero Dawn. That one was very good. It was surprising for the team Gorilla to make it because they're usually known for Killzone. So for them to start the Zero Dawn Horizon, it was really out of left field. Nobody really expected that out of them, out of that team, and they did a really good job with that one. And this one just went over the top because this was their first game that was released on PlayStation 4, but it also had a PlayStation 5 variant, which improved a bunch of stuff, man. It just made it really awesome. Every time I would look at it, it was just like, I can't believe this game exists because just how beautiful it looks. But really cool game. Obviously, from the amount of time I put onto it, I really enjoyed it. It really sucked up every extra moment that I would have where I'm like, I feel like gaming, and that was the game that I booted up. So yeah, after beating it, I kind of wanted like a palate cleanser, something to just kind of chill and relax, and nothing really too intensive mind wise. So I jumped into Terminator Resistance, and then I ended up beating that one. I also platinum that one, Terminator Resistance, but that one was just more of a mindless shooter. You just go around shooting stuff. It's kind of like a Call of Duty first person sort of thing, but still pretty cool, man. It was actually a pretty cool game. Really, nothing too big story wise. It was kind of the typical, you could tell who's gonna double cross you. You could tell who's gonna be the love interest, and you could kind of read it a mile away. But it was pretty cool. But I gotta be honest, man. After playing Horizon, and even with this palette cleanser, kind of something different, Horizon or Terminator, I'm kind of like not feeling anything else PlayStation wise or even gaming wise. I tried to start up a few games, I wanted to go back to Red Dead Revolver, which is the first one, which came out on PlayStation 2, and I played like the first two missions, and it just wasn't really capturing me. And I'm like, maybe it's too old, and I'm not feeling it because of the clunky controls. Then I booted up this other old game called IQ, which is like this puzzle game, and that one got me hooked a little bit. I was playing a little bit just because it brought back a lot of nostalgia. But the last game that I'm gonna try to start next is Devil May Cry 5. Supposedly it's really fun and fanatic, just kind of crazy action. But I'm not sure, man. It might be time to take a break from games for maybe a couple weeks or a month and just like binge some TV, which I've been watching a lot of TV too. So probably just get back into more and more of the TVs. Obviously, when I'm not doing family stuff and doing stuff with the wifey and the kids. But not really much else. Go ahead, Andy.
Real quick, on the last episode, Noel was talking about he was video gaming the latest Spider-Man game on the PS5. Was that right, Noel?
Yeah, the 2018, and then I moved over to Miles Morales after beating that one.
And then, thank you. He asked me, "Was the last time I played?" Or we were talking about like the last
Like a
game.
game,
Yeah, and
right?
I go, or the last Spider-Man game, and I go, I remember playing the Spider-Man game that they shipped out that was incomplete for the PlayStation 3. I remember playing a little bit. You remember that game? What was it called? Where you had
It,
like multiple suits, and then like the game didn't have an ending, and they never really
Web of
they were gonna
Shadows.
something like that. I don't. Maybe that's it. It was a PS3 one, if I remember correctly, and there was no real ending to it. The game just like stopped working or something once you got to like a certain level or whatever, because they were gonna release a patch and all this stuff.
Oh, I don't really recall that. But man, that was the last time you played a Spider-Man. The one for PlayStation 4 is actually really, really good. And the patch that they released for PlayStation 5, because I know you got a PlayStation 5, is really, really good, man. It's got a bunch of ray tracing effects, and then the frame rate was boosted up to 60 frames per second. So really excellent. That first game and the Miles Morales, they're both really good showcase PlayStation 5 games. So definitely a must look in, and they're both pretty cheap. I think they're like $20 a pop or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, really good games. Not much else to talk about this week except let's jump into our article of the week, man. So, fellas, article of the week is something I found on Fox News. The headline here is Wedding Drama Erupts as Bride Explodes When Young Man Wears White. Couple no longer speaking. So the married couple are no longer speaking. I'm not sure if anything's changed. The day of this article is August 16th, 2023. The article kind of goes into like a timeline of everything that happened, but I guess this couple, they were getting married. I guess it was explicitly either said or written on the invitations that no white in the wedding. And from asking my wife, I guess this is a thing, but it's mostly for women, but to not wear white at weddings. But anyways, in the article, it goes into the story. I guess it got brought to her attention, or she noticed that there was like a kid. I think it was like 7 or 10. I forget what the kid's age was. But anyways, he was a young kid. He was wearing white pants and a white bow tie. So the new bride, she gets kind of hysterical, starts crying, runs off to the bathroom. The new husband runs off and is like, "What's the matter?" And he's just like, "I can't believe that kid's wearing white. It's so disrespectful." Blah blah blah. And I guess he consoles her. Things kind of get chilled out. They fix up her makeup. She goes back out there, and the groom sees the new bride talking to the parents of the kid, and the groom is just like, there's no way that she's bringing it to their attention, hopefully. So he decides to walk over there, and now it's a whole, like, shouting match, I guess, between the parents, which is from the groom's side, um, not the parents of the groom, but it's from the groom's side of the family, the parents of the kid with the white pants, and the new bride. And it basically comes down to the bride is like, you have to leave the wedding, you have to leave the party, the reception. And the groom is just like, well, if they're leaving, if my family has to leave, then I'm living with them. And basically, they all left. They all took off, and I guess they haven't talked to each other since then. So I kind of brought this up to my wife, and I'm like, can you believe this? And she's just like, yeah. He's like, I know that typically the unsaid rule is that women are not supposed to wear white because you're not supposed to steal the thunder of the bride. It's her day, it's the bride's day or whatever. So she's just like, yeah, that's an obvious rule. And come to think of it, now it's jogging back into my memory. There was a wedding that Alana was hunting for a dress, and we saw one that was like a white black dress, and it had like half of it was white and half of it was black. And she's just like, no, I can't take that to the wedding. And I'm like, why not? It's really nice. It fit her. She looked really nice in it. And she's just like, no, you're not supposed to wear that much white because then you take away from the bride. But yeah, to me, when I saw this article, I just couldn't believe it. I know, Andy, you just recently got married in the last decade or so. Can you believe something like this would happen, man?
No, I was kind of shocked at the article. I mean, we all know Bridezillas. And to be honest with you, to me, the wedding, my day was the lead up to it was exhausting, and like, yeah, you have a lot of dumb fights. I didn't know about the white, the not wearing white, but the whole day was a blur. I mean, I remember getting up and then just getting ready, and then from the church forward, I don't really recall much. And my wife's like, she's like shocked. I'm like, yeah, it was like a long freaking day. And then there was a lot of rules, especially we had a Catholic wedding and all that, and Mexican wedding, and there's a lot of like little traditions, but I didn't know about the white at all. She goes and talks to him like, get out of here, beat it. I was shocked about that, but it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people on both sides and all the families, and yeah, it was it's a long freaking day and a lot of rules and a lot of traditions, depending on your culture and heritage. So I'm yeah, but to kick somebody out of your wedding for that, I mean, to me, it's a little excessive, I think, personally.
Yeah, and I guess the other part of this article is they went to Reddit with a lot of this
Yeah,
stuff to
yeah,
kind of get the feel of the community and people at large. And there, it's split, man. There's a lot of people that are like, no, she was within her right. It's a wedding rule. You're not supposed to wear white. And then there's some people that are like, yes, she's within her right, or at least it's within sensible that nobody should wear white. But it's a little kid, and he doesn't know any better than the little kid. But
yeah.
then it also comes back to the parents. The
The
parents
parents.
should have known better and been like, no, you can't wear that. You got to wear something else. So, what are your thoughts, Noel? Can you believe? And if your wife would to present you with this, would you kick out your cousin, let's say, because their kid was wearing white?
Oh man, that's you know, I think a lot of it would depend on if it was intentional. Did they do it as a power move? Like, what are you
Right.
gonna do about this? Nothing, or like, if it's that, or if it was an honest mistake. But man, like
I think it was a
it.
power move, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so do I,
I
man.
get
That's
that
why I'm just
feeling they did
like,
that on purpose. Yeah.
because that's what it seems like. Now, did she, maybe react a little bit crazy, as a bridezilla? Maybe they both dodged a bullet, and maybe they weren't meant for each other because this happened. But if if I was in that position and my wife to be is truly like not liking this is going on, and she comes at it with a respectful way, I'll let her know, be like, hey, let me handle it. Let me see what I can do. And I'll go to them, the people that are in my family, and I'll respectfully ask them. I'll be like, hey, is there any way that, you can get a change of pants or whatever?
It's not a good way to start your marriage, bro. Just I'm letting you know. I think Dan can back me up on that one.
Well, Andy, to be honest, at a time of your wedding, how many times did you and me as well did not try to ease your bride and give her what she wanted? Like, no, I want it like this, and be like, all right, whatever you want, it's fine. I don't care. So there is a part of appeasing your bride at in that day. So I could understand, you know, no, I don't want that. He's not supposed to be wearing white. And then you'd be like, okay, let me go try to talk to them. So I could understand that.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a lot left out. We don't have all
Weakness,
the
bro.
context. Like we don't know if she was truly a bridezilla. Was she like angry the whole time of the arrangement of the wedding? Was she's like, this has to be this? Was she yelling at people? Or she yelling at the wait staff and all that? Or is she really nice? And this was the one thing that like ticked her off. Like, is this the only time she's speaking up?
It,
That says a lot. Because
it's
if
probably
that is, then I'm like, all right,
it's a
take it seriously.
accumulation of things. I went to a wedding about a year ago, um, and uh, it was one of my wife's friends, and knowing them for how long I known them, one person was like a little bit more frugal, and the other person was just balls to the wall, like let's make it pop. And there was a lot. My wife would tell me like, "Oh, I guess who called?" She called me. They were arguing about the wedding and about money, and like the biggest thing was like what to have and what to have and what not. And then the big thing, they were a mixed couple. One was Hispanic, the other person was American, um, and there was a lot of fight. The only thing where I found kind of weird was uh, it was the reception was nice, but the rehearsal dinner, you have a rehearsal, then the dinner. The one person wanted like this balls out, like we're gonna rent a hall and do all this shit for the rehearsal dinner. And the other one was like, nah, man, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna just order takeout and have them come back to the house. Apparently it turned into like a big argument, and they went back everybody went back to the house, and like um one person was visibly upset at what I remember, but that's what I'm talking about. Like you get into arguments about that, but I never. That's usually before the wedding. There's a ton of fights or a lot of
Right.
arguments. Yeah,
No, I'm sure. I mean, because I mean, even at your wedding, I'm sure there was things that you were indifferent about, and you just told your wife, "Yeah, do what you want to do," and she wanted it a certain way, and you're just like, "Whatever." Not because you don't care, but just because you want to try to get your bride the day that she wants.
right. No, I mean it is like I said. Weddings are stressful, and like we had a friend that eloped. I think he probably did the best thing, and then all our other friends in our group, our circle, I mean, they all had somewhat big weddings, or they had a wedding. Um, and we had the one friend that eloped, and yeah, man, it's stressful. And I was probably the last one to get married. Yeah, it was fucking stressful. Money, and then trying to make everyone happy, and then but I after we got married, that the reception, and we were happy because I think we were more happy because it was over, and the only concern was, the bar shutting down. Should I pay to keep it going? And then the other big stressful was the DJ. We found the last minute DJ that was like a whole another fucking thing. But other than
I,
that, I mean, we loved it.
yeah, I think like you said, it's most of the time for the people getting married, it's a blur because it's just like a bunch of go here, do this, go here, do this, go
Pictures and
here, and
shit.
it's like
Yeah.
yeah, so it doesn't stop. I remember to your point, Andy, when I first walked into the reception hall, it was a really beautiful hall. My mother-in-law did most of the arrangements to get it, And I glanced over to the left, and I didn't know we were gonna have it, but we had a dessert bar with a bunch of like fresh fruits and stuff like that. And I was, I love fruit, and at the time I
You
was
had
in
fruit
diet.
there? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like a big fruit. I mean, they had chocolates and other stuff, but that stuff doesn't really call to me. But they had like pineapple and strawberries and watermelons and a bunch of other stuff. And I was just like, yes, man, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna handle business and take care, eat some of that fruit. And dude, the wedding was so much go here, go here, go here. I
Hmm.
didn't even eat my food because it's halfway through my plate as I'm eating. They're like, "Oh, you got to go cut the cake. Oh, and then it's the first dance. Oh, and then it's the first this, and then it's gonna go do a kiss, and let's go take a picture over here, and then we got to open up the photo booth." And then it was just like, and then when I came back, my plate was gone. So I'm just like, "Shit, man, I don't even get to finish my food." So um, no regrets. I had a
Yeah, I
great time,
didn't.
but it's like you said, it's chaotic
I didn't even have taste the cake. We had my wife had these special mac bites, like macaroni bites made up, and everybody was talking about how amazing they were. I didn't fucking try that. I think I barely had my steak, and then before that, you just like you said, you're just running around, and then like at the end of the night, you're just like you're fucking exhausted.
Yeah. So, and hopefully, uh, people out there, people that are getting married, you know, gauge yourself, man. To me, I probably wouldn't have recommended spending as much money as we did. I would have much rather kept that in the bank, but it was an awesome time, and I'm sure the families, the people that get invited, they don't mind getting to have all the drinks and the food that they did. So I like being invited to weddings much more than throwing the wedding. So that is more fun. Go and get blasted and just eat all you can eat.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see what happens to that couple, but definitely agree that yeah, it's probably gonna be less chaotic just going to a wedding than it is to throw one.
For sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush on this end, but when that time comes, I'm sure I'll make it through just like you guys did. But everybody, that wraps things up for today. Want to say thank you very much for joining us here at Freeform Network. If you're not already, please follow us on Twitter at FFR Podcast. And if you have any questions or suggestions, the email for that is ffnquestions@gmail.com. From Freeform Radio, my name is Noel, and we have Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna see what I can heat up, man, to eat.
For sure. And we also got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. And the Spider-Man game, real quick, was Shattered Dimensions.
Ah,
So,
I
Shattered
that
Dimensions.
it
You didn't
was
like it, huh?
Yeah, because it didn't have an ending or something to that effect. And I remember you were able to play 3 different Spider-Mans or 4 or something. And yeah, that was the game. I think that was the last Spider-Man game I played. But let us know what you guys think. But we'll check you out next week.
All right, everybody. Take care and be safe.
That was cool, Dad.